President Bongbong Marcos will be ringing the bell with the other participants at the Philippine Stock Exchange, along with Chairman Emeritus Titoy Pardo. They're over in Taguig
get
to mark
ready
the
for the
effectivity
countdown.
of Republic Act 12214,
8,
known as the Capital
7,
Markets Efficiency
6,
Promotion Act,
5,
or CMEPA.
4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes our program. Thank you, Mr. President, for spending your valuable time with us today. Once again, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. May we request everyone to please remain in your respective places until the President has left the venue.
There you go, the President ringing the bell. Just a moment ago there, in a statement, he made a comment saying this is a landmark law, allowing Filipinos to invest in true capital market development. With CMEPA on May 29th, it is a landmark legislation that would lower the cost of buying and selling stocks by reducing the stock transaction tax to 0.1%. So the PSC has hailed the passage of this law as an important step to boost the local bourse's competitiveness against other foreign markets. Welcome to Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. In the headlines, fuel prices and the price of canned sardines go down today, while a 50 peso wage hike in Metro Manila takes effect this month, helping ease consumer burdens. Tel 101 Global trades on the NASDAQ later tonight, Manila time, becoming the first Filipino-owned company to list on the tech-heavy stock exchange. Ana Yulo Yuchini, the CEO of Tel 101 Global Inc., joins us live from Los Angeles. And UNICEF Philippines warns climate risks can lead to a real and widespread learning crisis in the Philippines. An excerpt of my thought leader's interview with UNICEF Philippines Chief of Education, Akihiro Fushimi. And starting July 18th, Metro Manila's minimum wage earners are getting a raise in their pay. The NCR Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board approved a 50 pesos per day hike, the highest minimum wage hike that have been given. An adjustment brings the daily pay to 695 for workers in the non-agriculture sector. It's 658 pesos for those in agriculture, service and retail establishments employing 15 or fewer workers, and workers of manufacturing companies that regularly employ less than 10 workers. In total, this is an additional monthly take-home pay of 1,100 pesos for those who work 5 days in a week. Around 1.2 million workers are expected to benefit from the increase. However, the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines party list criticized the move, saying the increase is only a quarter of the proposed 200 peso wage hike. They also pointed out it falls short of the Senate's earlier proposal of 100 pesos, which had support from several agencies under the Marcos administration. In an interview on One News Big Story, the TUCP spokesman says they refiled the measure. The labor groups called the 50 peso hike an insult to workers' dignity and said they will raise the issue during President Bongbong Marcos's upcoming State of the Nation address.
We believe that our workers, hindi pwede silang tinutulak na 50 na lang kesa wala. No? The TUCP party list not only filed the 200 peso legislated wage increase, but we also filed a resolution calling for an inquiry, an investigation in aid of legislation on how our regional wage boards really set minimum wages, because as of now, we have over 5 million minimum wage earners who are still below the poverty line.
Century Pacific Food is implementing a 1 peso price rollback in its canned sardines to help ease consumers' financial burden. In a statement over the weekend, CPFI says the price adjustment applies to its flagship brands Ligo and 555. CPFI Vice President and General Manager Ronald Agoncillo said the move aims to support consumers while maintaining product quality. Last week, the Trade Department met with the Canned Sardines Association of the Philippines, including CPFI, to address reports of a proposed 3 peso price increase because of rising production costs. The agency initiated the dialogue, even though no formal petition was submitted. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas projects June inflation to settle between 1.1 and 1.9%. The Bangko Sentral says upward price pressures are likely due to higher meat and vegetable prices, elevated oil costs, and the weaker peso. However, these may be partially tempered by lower prices of rice, fish, and fruits, along with reduced electricity rates. If realized, the forecast would be much slower than the 3.7% inflation recorded in June 2024. At the upper end of the range, inflation may have picked up from May's 1.3%. Meanwhile, the lower end could mark the slowest inflation rate in 57 months, or since the 0.6% recorded in October 2019. The PSA will release the official June inflation data on Friday, July 4th. Hotel 101 Global trades for the first time on the NASDAQ in the U.S. later at 9 p.m. Manila time as it becomes the first Filipino-owned company to be listed on the tech-heavy stock exchange. Hotel 101 Global, to trade under the ticker symbol HBNB, is the tech-driven hospitality platform wholly owned by Double Dragon Corporation, the Philippine-listed property developer owned by Edgar Injapsia and Tony Tancakyong. With us now for more, live from Los Angeles, Hannah Yulo Lucchini, the CEO of Hotel 101 Global Inc. So good to see you, Hannah. Congratulations and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Cathy.
All right, so what was it like ringing that iconic bell there with Injap and Tony at the NASDAQ last Friday?
It was really an emotional and incredibly happy moment to know that, we are now part of the history of the Philippines, being the first Filipino-owned company to list on the NASDAQ. As you can see, we were waving the Filipino flags out in Times Square. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get us to this moment, and it was truly worthwhile. It's a testament really to the Filipino spirit, and what's possible when vision, grit, and heart unite.
And that stock trades for the first time tonight at 9 Manila time. So what can we expect?
Well, we're incredibly excited for trading to open on July 1 Eastern Time under our ticker HBNB. We are positioning ourselves as the uniform BNB. We're an asset-light prop tech hospitality platform, which we believe will really disrupt the hospitality industry globally with our one-room global hotel concept that promises consistency, comfort, and irresistible value. So we hope to see the support of especially a lot of the Filipinos around the world that are very happy to see a Filipino company trade for the first time in the NASDAQ, which is a natural home to technology stocks globally, and of course has made a mark for many of the largest technology stocks.
Give it a bit of a backstory, Hannah. Did you or the board ever think for a moment of postponing this listing given the global trade policy uncertainties and the escalations in the Middle East?
Not for a moment did we think of postponing this. We believe the moment is now for Hotel 101, for HBNB, because the fundamentals of our business are very strong. We have a bold vision to expand this to 1 million rooms across 100 countries because we believe we have something that is truly special and truly spectacular.
And the backstory on the $2.3 billion merger of how Hotel 101 and JV SPAC came together, a special purpose acquisition company, raising money from investors, paving the way for this listing. How did you find each other?
Well, it was really a discovery process of meeting a lot of different groups, and I think what JV SPAC really brought to the table is the same conviction on our vision and how strongly we believe in the expansion of Hotel 101 globally. The unique business model, the novel business concept of having one type of room globally in the hospitality space where it doesn't exist today. one type of room coupled with 5 times more room in one property. So we build on average 500 room hotels. Really gives us unbeatable efficiency in the way that we operate, and also irresistible value to our guests because we're able to deliver far more than your typical budget hotel. So we have, your pool, your gym, all day dining. So it's really like a 3-star hotel room with 4-star amenities, but at a budget hotel price.
And that merger brought together $57.5 million. It raised that through the merger of JV's back. So what do you intend to do with that money?
It's not so significant for us really, the raise. It's more the significance for us is really, being listed on the NASDAQ will allow us, access to capital market and a much deeper capital base of investors in the US. I mean, our plans are bold for 1 million rooms across 100 countries, and this is only the beginning for us.
Right. Could you tell us the actual ad, though, for Double Dragon? In the end, what sort of a timeline are you looking at, and the actual value add that you will bring to Double Dragon?
Well, for Double Dragon, I think this will really unlock a lot of the value that's really of Double Dragon. Double Dragon is the majority shareholder, controlling shareholder of Hotel 101 Global, and we believe that Hotel 101 Global will be 90% of Double Dragon's business in the future, and a very, very large contributor of foreign-denominated revenues to the parent company, Double Dragon Corporation.
Now, talk to us about the differing draws of your international properties. It's interesting for one in Madrid. Hotel 101 Madrid is your first European property, strategically positioned beside the new Formula One circuit in Madrid. So what are the opportunities there for Hotel 101?
It's very exciting for us. Even for the whole community in Spain, we have, such strong demand for this project among local investors in Spain. We have recently signed a 10-year contract with Match Hospitality to be the hotel partner for Formula One Spanish Grand Prix, which is set to have its first Spanish Grand Prix on September next year, and will be open early part of next year. Completion is on schedule by the end of this year, and we're very, very excited for this because this will really put Hotel 101 on the map in terms of the global stage, being a partner of Formula One.
What about your project in Japan? Because I understand that Hotel 101 Niseko is going to be one of the largest value hotels there. How do you intend to attract all types of travelers in this ski resort and maximize revenues in a seasonal setting during the winter months?
Well, I think what we really bring to the table is irresistible value. For example, our Hotel 101 Niseko is 482 rooms, and it's incredible value because we're actually the only other hotel in Niseko that has an indoor swimming pool. Is a very, very high-end hotel, and us. And so with us, you can get super good value rooms, but all the amenities. We have, a sauna, an indoor swimming pool, all day dining, fitness center. We're 2 minutes from the slopes. We're at the heart of Hirafu. So it's an excellent location, and anybody who has been to Niseko recently would have probably passed by this beautiful project that we're very excited to open.
Now, right where you're at in LA, how did you pick and choose where you'd secure land in Los Angeles? Because this is going to be Hotel 101's first foray in the US.
Well, again, it's really accessibility, and that's what we want to deliver to our guests. So this is just a few hundred meters away from downtown LA. It's actually uptown LA. We're only a 10-minute drive from Beverly Hills and Hollywood, and very accessible to a lot of the major highways and thoroughfares. So this is, again, a landmark project, 622 rooms, which we hope to open, ahead of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
So this is all ongoing, the global expansion plans, all building on the success of the business model that you got started right here in the Philippines. So talk to us about Hotel 101's milestones here, and where do you see the Philippines headed now that you are a global company?
Well, for the Philippines, we will continue to grow organically. I think the last 8 years we've been operating Hotel 101 branded hotel in the Philippines. We have seen, consistently better than average occupancy until today, and that's really what has cemented our vision to take this forward into a global brand. We are very proud of what we've accomplished in the Philippines, and we will continue to expand our portfolio in the Philippines. But in the near term, we want to be in 25 countries in the next 3 years.
How many years would that be?
3 years.
All right. Well, we'll keep tabs of that. Thank you so much and congratulations, Hannah Yulo Lucchini of Hotel 101 Global.
Much for your time.
And you are watching Money Talks. Coming right up, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index seemed to be well positioned to revisit its previous high. And tennis star Alex Ayala set to make her main draw debut in the Wimbledon 2025 Championships. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has revised its balance of payments forecast for 2025 and 2026 amid heightened global uncertainty. The BSP now expects a $6.3 billion BOP deficit this year, wider than the earlier projected $4 billion shortfall. For 2026, the deficit is seen narrowing to $2.8 billion from a previous forecast of $4.3 billion. The central bank attributed the outlook to persistent current account shortfalls and weaker financial flows, weighed down by geopolitical tensions and shaky investor sentiment. From January to May, the country posted a $5.8 billion BOP deficit, a reversal from last year's $1.6 billion surplus in the same period. Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral also lowered its current account deficit forecast for this year and 2026, citing global uncertainties and the country's continued need for external financing to support investment-led growth. U.S. equities ended Monday's session in the green, with both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ posting double-digit gains the second quarter. The Dow rose by 1/6%, S&P 500 climbed by 0.5%, and the NASDAQ inched up by 0.4%. That brings a close to this quarter shaped by President Donald Trump's shifting trade policies, which sent most indices to bear market territory. But the markets rebounded to post fresh all-time highs, with the S&P recovering from a 15% decline within 89 trading days. The NASDAQ led gains this period among equities, rising by over 17%. S&P 500 followed through by over 10%, and the Dow by nearly 5%. Powering gains at the NASDAQ are tech giants reaching new highs as of late. Joining that list is Meta, which reached an all-time high of $747 per share during midday trading, surpassing the previous record in February. This comes as the company, which owns Facebook and Instagram, unveils an AI unit dedicated to develop superintelligence, which can perform tasks at par with or even greater than humans. As for U.S. 10-year Treasury yields, they've fallen yesterday, Monday, to 4.227%, and gold prices rose to $3,294 per troy ounce. Stock futures are little changed in after-hours trading. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are all up by less than 0.1%. As for the Asian markets, they're a mixed bag in the first hour of trading this Tuesday. Australia's ASX 200 up by 0.1%, South Korea's Kospi rises by over 1.6%, and Japan's Nikkei 225 down by 0.9%. Let's take a look at our own markets. PSEI opens Tuesday higher by about 0.5% at 6,396. Stock market snapped its 4-day rally to close yesterday, Monday, lower by 0.6%. The broader all-shares index fell by over 0.25%. And the all-sectoral counters were in the red except for property. Trading kicked off this week on a high note as total value turnover amounted to 7.89 billion pesos. As for the Philippine peso, it opened today stronger, 56.25 to the dollar. Peso closed yesterday stronger as well, 56.33 against the greenback. And the Philippine Stock Exchange Index appears well-positioned to revisit its previous high recorded in May 2025, says Ron Acoba of Trading Edge. Now, this chart you're seeing right now reveals the PSEI's successful invalidation of a recent downward breach, and the succeeding recovery demonstrates the index's resilience and investor confidence as it decisively reclaims the prior support level of 6,341. With a strong foundation, says Acoba, the index is expected to build a sustained upward momentum, enabling it to retest a high range of between 65.66 and 65.91. Furthermore, he adds, a move toward the high range may also establish the conditions for a broader and more sustained bullish reversal in the index. And among all sectors, Philippine property counters, and in particular, Ayala Land, Acoba says, appears positioned to initiate at least a short-term rally. Following a 6-month consolidation phase, the sector's already reached its most recent high. A continued advance beyond the May peak, he adds, could potentially signal the beginning of a more sustained upward trend in the near term. And Ayala Land has acquired New World Makati Hotel in a move to expand one of its division's portfolio. The acquisition, part of Ayala Land Hospitality's strategy to strengthen its presence in urban centers. New World Makati Hotel features over 500 guest rooms and suites located across Greenbelt and is within walking distance of major establishments. ALH said operations remain normal as the current management team was retained. ALH has over 4,000 rooms under its homegrown brands, including Seda Hotels and El Nido Resorts. With us now for more is Alfred Garcia, Research Head at AP Securities Inc. So good to see you again, Alfred. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Cathy. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, so much happening out there, and we started the show with CIMEPA. Now that starts, and it's viewed as a landmark law as far as the president's concerned, something good for investors, stock market investors, and retail investors. But how good is it?
If you look at it in isolation, it doesn't seem that significant. So the PSE said that the average trade value per trade in 2024 was around 50,000. So this law will reduce the stock transaction tax by 0.5%. So that would translate to around 250 pesos for the average trade of 50,000. So it doesn't seem much, but when you look at it in a broader picture, it will lower the hurdle rate for investors to at least break even. And then it can also encourage more short-term trading and encourage more retail investors. For retail investors, that 250 is a lot. So it could really stimulate the retail scene in the Philippine stock market.
It's a good start. And as you say, break even. Break even's good for a good start.
Sometimes it's the goal.
What do you think of 101 Global, though?
101 Global really has a very interesting growth story going for it. They have an ambitious plan. As Hannah said earlier, they wanted to have 1 million rooms across 100 countries. Very ambitious. And their listing, as she said earlier, it really gives them access to a deeper financial market than the Philippines. So it really makes sense that they listed in NASDAQ.
And staying with property counters, I just read there, Ayala Land Hospitalities just bought New World Hotel in Makati.
A lot of developments going on in hospitality right now. So there was this Ayala deal with New World, and then previously we also had Mega World doing a collaboration with Accor. We also have Hotel 101, and a lot of other property developers are really getting into hospitality. And it's something that's based on, I guess, despite the flattish tourism numbers, we're seeing a decline also in individual tourist spending that's around 5.6% to around 117,000 per tourist. But at the same time, we're seeing spending on accommodation go up by 5%. Sorry, by 17%.
And that's from foreign tourists or the locals?
That's for inbound tourists. So we don't get data for domestic tourism. So that's just for the inbound. So that's not even counting the domestic tourism. So that spending on accommodation has gone up by around 17% to around 40,000 per tourist. So maybe that's why the property developers are really positioning themselves in the hospitality segment.
And that the property counters, when you look at it technically, as I had mentioned earlier, from Trading Edge, that they're the ones to invest in as an industry.
Right. This is underpinned by the recent rate cuts by the BSP. They started last year in August. They cut again in June, and we're expecting another one later this year. So this is really a positive for the property market, which is primarily debt-driven. So most people just borrow money to buy property, right? So the lower interest rates should really stimulate the Philippine property market again, which we have seen weakness in recent months, years actually. We've seen weakness in the residential segment. That's why the property developers have been trying to diversify their revenue stream. But now that interest rates are starting to come down, we should see the residential market recovering as well.
But how much of a leeway, though, for interest rates to come off some more, given that, one, we've just had a wage hike of 50 pesos in the NCR region starting this month, and also inflation estimates, though?
Right. So for the wage hike, there will be a slight effect on inflation. Definitely, this will be passed on to consumers by the companies, by the employers. As for the leeway that the BSP has, we have really moderate inflation moving forward. So we have the inflation numbers coming out later this week. We expect it to be around 1.5%, 1.6%, fairly moderate. And then we expect inflation for the rest of the year to remain within the BSP's target. So that underpins the case for another rate cut. Although the problem is we just did a rate cut recently. And then the Fed is not meeting until September, and that's when they are expected to cut. But the BSP is meeting again in August, before the Fed does. So if they cut again in August, that will bring down the interest rate differential to 0.5%. So that's really low, and that has the potential to weaken the peso and further fuel inflation. So our base case scenario is that they will hold off until the October meeting,
Okay.
or maybe even December.
I'll keep tabs of that. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Cathy.
Alfred Garcia of AP Securities. And one of our biggest stories today, we started with it. All trades at the Philippine Stock Exchange will be subject to a lower stock transaction tax, or STT, of only 0.1%, down from the previous 0.6%. In a special bell ringing ceremony marking the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act, or CMEPA, PSE President and CEO Ramon Monzon said the tax cut aims to make the local market more competitive with regional peers by reducing friction costs for investors. CMEPA was signed into law by President Bongbong Marcos last May. And during the ceremony moments ago, he said the measure also removes certain exemptions to enhance fairness in the country's tax system.
We must complement this STT reduction with continuing initiatives to grow the number of listed firms and expand our product and service offerings. We must also continue to find more ways to get more people to invest in the stock market.
Even with the looming budget cuts, UNICEF Philippines Education Chief Akihiro Fushimi says the real challenge isn't just about how much money the education sector gets, but how smartly it is spent. Here's an excerpt from my interview with him on Long Conversation Thought Leaders.
So I think this is something for us to support the government to unlock those finances, like Green Climate Fund, for the sectors we support and work. We need that, and so it's a chicken and egg, but the NDC have to be first to look at child-sensitive policies and the strategies. So I think that's how we want to really mobilize. And there are other opportunities as well, which I was reminded yesterday by a colleague from GGGI. This is the Global Green Growth Institute. Yeah, they also talked about the critical importance of NDC and our advocacy and support to that end.
So the UNICEF can lobby for the Philippines to get some money from the Green Climate Fund?
To support, yes, of course. Yes, So that's why we want to really work on the NDC part as well to bring more resources made available for the Philippines. Yes.
Given what the data has shown so that is UNICEF Philippines Education Chief Akihiro Fushimi. Catch the full interview on Long Conversation Thought Leaders only here on One News. And before we go, Filipino tennis star Alex Ayala set to make her main draw debut in the prestigious Wimbledon 2025 Championships. Ayala is scheduled for a first-round clash against defending champion Barbara Krejcikova. That will happen at the England Club in London later today, July 1st. Prior to this, Ayala climbed to a career-high world number 56 in the latest rankings after a breakout run at the 2025 Lexus Eastbourne Open, where she finished as runner-up. Something to watch out for. That is it for Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. Catch us again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. here on One News. Have a great day ahead.